So Greg Edwards is joining me now. He is running in 7th District in Pennsylvania. I have declared Greg the front runner, so obviously he is. Greg, great to have you on the program.
Good to be with you, Cenk.
Okay, so Greg, let's dive into the latest in that race. So your primary is coming up on May 15th, which is really, really close, a couple of weeks from now. What's the state of the primary right now?
Well, yeah, our primary is on May 15th. There are 6 people in the race, and I will gladly say that we are the front runners. We have outraised all of our opponents. We've received over 10,000 individual contributions, averaging about $40 per person from every state in the union. We have several hundred volunteers ranging in age from 18 to 80 from all races and socioeconomic backgrounds. This area has never seen a person of color run for Congress. And I will gladly say that we have more regional and national endorsements from every progressive organization than any other candidate that's ever run in this congressional district. And I'm proud of that.
Yeah, you got all the big groups, Just Democrats, PCCC, and the list goes on and on. And then you got the establishment not on your side, so that's a badge of honor. So we'll get back to that in a second. But what part of Pennsylvania is this district?
So this is the 7th congressional district. Prior to it being rendered unconstitutionally gerrymandered, it was the 15th congressional district. It's all of Lehigh Valley, which includes all of Lehigh and Northampton County and southern Monroe counties. So it's predominantly an urban district now and heavily Democratic. It was an R4, now it's a D1. I really believe that the person that wins the primary in the next 3 weeks is going to be our next congressperson.
That is exciting because in a blue wave election like this, where in the same state of Pennsylvania, the Republicans blew a 19-point lead, if you're sitting in a D+1, meaning the Democrats have a 1-point advantage there, you might actually be sitting on a 20-point advantage.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that the incumbent had done a great job at was saying that this district was a moderate district. And I've been all over this district, top to bottom, and I've seen anything but people who want, moderately well-funded schools, a moderately, well-paying job, moderate health care. I mean, folks are tired. They're dealing with, working several jobs. They don't have enough money to pay for childcare. They're being bankrupted by the incredibly prohibitive cost of health care. And so we believe that this seat is going to go to a Democrat. But as I like to say, any old blue just won't do.
I already love that slogan. Normally I come up with the slogans, but that's very good, very good. Okay, so tell us why. Let's go back into that drama about the Democrats coming to try to get you out of the race, because I know a lot of people didn't hear it when you were on last time. So remind us why they and how basically they wanted to kind of nudge you out of this seat.
Well, members of the D Trip came to town. They had a lot of conversations about how they could possibly get me out the race. We called them on the carpet about it. They didn't deny it. And we tried to figure out why they would want the only candidate of color, as a matter of fact, the first candidate of color ever to run for Congress, who out-fundraised all of his opponents on both sides of the aisle, who had more national and regional support from every progressive organization, why they would want me out the race. And they still haven't answered that question, but we kind of have a mantra that's related to our campaign. There's no conversations about us without us. And so they left town, and we're continuing to run a very competitive race.
I love the mantras. You got to keep them rolling. Okay, so, but let's just guess here, because I've been told my whole life pretty much by the Democratic establishment that money's everything. That's the only thing that counts. But in your case, you raised more money than the other guys did. I mean, you're just Democrats, so you don't take any corporate PAC money. You raise small dollar donations, but you raised it nonetheless, and you raised more than other guys. So what do you think it was that made them think, nah, Greg's not the right guy, the other guys are the right guys?
I mean, I'm not really sure. That's very subjective. The reality is, we have outraised all of our opponents through small dollar donations. I mean, we are running a very innovative, people-powered, people-centered grassroots campaign that really is not reliant on traditional campaign resources. We're not plugged into, what I would call the political consultant industrial complex. We've got community organizers. We have several hundred volunteers. We're knocking on doors. We're being very assertive about our message. We're running on an economic populist message. Folks are hurting all over this district. And so I'm not sure why they wanted me out. But the reality is I'm still here. They're not. We're Democrats. And we're simply saying that we are Democrats from the Democratic side of the party. And we're unapologetic in our mission and our message.
God, Greg, you're going to win. Okay.
That's our hope.
Okay, so I want to talk to you more, but I want to give the links because it's edwardsforpa.com. That's the website, edwardsforpa.com, and tinyurl.com/donate to Greg or tinyurl.com/volunteer for Greg. And if you're watching this later on YouTube or Facebook, we'll have those links that are easy to click down below. So, Greg, I think that you probably answered the question that I asked, which is why did they not want you in the race? Well, for a lot of people, they're confused. I mean, you're uncorrupted. You don't take the corporate PAC money. You're grassroots. You're more connected. You got all those volunteers. You don't have to spend as much money on TV and on consultants. Well, that's for you. That's the feature. For them, that's the bug.
Right. Well, I mean, and we fail to realize that serving in the United States House of Representatives, this is the people's house. This is the seat that is supposed to be closest to the pain of everyday people. And that's really why we are running. We believe that the higher work of politics is to make us more humane, more civilized. And the ultimate job of a congressperson is really to eliminate the difference between economic pain and public policy. And so we're running on an unapologetically economic platform that is going to alleviate the financial struggles by saying we've got to have universal health care. We must have universal preschool. We've got to have debt-free college because college is no longer a pathway to prosperity. It's a pathway to poverty. We've got to have common sense gun reform. We've got to have a clear, clean pathway to citizenship. And we've got to provide livable wage jobs of at least $15 an hour. And in Pennsylvania, Cenk, the median income of most of our folks is about $16,000, $17,000 per capita in about 22 of our municipalities. And the minimum wage is $7.25. That's absolutely unacceptable. And that's why we're running.
$16,000 to $17,000 a year.
Yeah.
People in New York and Washington and San Francisco and the different so-called power centers, they can't understand that. They can't wrap their heads around it, and they don't want to. Well, one more thing, Greg. Again, for those who didn't see the earlier interview, what did you do in the past and what made you want to run?
Well, I've spent 25 years as a social movement builder for human and civil rights, addressing issues of inequity in healthcare, education, and economic development. I've pastored a church. I have led movements around the valley and really around the state, standing in solidarity with folks, understanding that our fate really is tied together. I've been a proponent of nonviolent direct action. I've been to DC. I've stood with DACA students and the Dreamers. I've stood with members of SEIU when we were fighting right to work legislation. And I decided, that we've got to get someone in the people's house who really understands the people. And I just made a bold statement that if not me, who? And if not now, if not now, when? And that's why really I'm running.
All right, I love it. And Greg, I hope you don't mind if we borrow any old blue, won't do.
You can have it, absolutely.
All right, well, you get credit for coming up with it. So
thanks so much. I'm hoping that folks will come out. If we have any local viewers in the Lehigh Valley, we've made a commitment to knock on 10,000 doors between May 1st and May 15th when the primary is being held. We've made over 30,000 phone calls, and we are out there pounding the pavement. And we know that we will turn this election by doing a high level of voter engagement. So if folks want to join our campaign, once again, they can go to edwardsforpa.com, EDWARDSFORPA.com. They can join us on this Sunday at 5:30 when we will have a mass meeting and talk about how we're going to turn this seat blue.
All right, Greg's not playing. Hardest working progressive in Pennsylvania. Thank you, brother. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Cenk. Talk to you soon, brother.
Yep.